immediately a mob comes, the hospital is vandalized. There are a lot of political people, letterpad people, all coming inside to make some bargains. If they do a cesarean section, they will say, "Kaas kudungathukkaga cesarean pandranga." So you go this way also there is a problem, you go that way also there is a problem. This is one side. In the other side, the government initially made a request which our people, because of lack of unity or vision, have accepted to do things at a much cheaper cost. So what has happened? You do something at a much cheaper cost in service to community, something like our CMCHS scheme or any other government scheme, which is very, very, there is something called the scientific costing which is there. For a hospital, for a full-fledged hospital, there are 72 licenses. There are around 72 licenses. That is, I am talking about a full hospital. And based on the size and bed strength, the licenses varies. And getting each and every license, there are a lot of practical difficulties which certain things I cannot mention today. And there are a lot of rules which Indian Medical Association has definitely intervened to make it at least palatable to our people, like Clinical Establishment Act, Biomedical Waste Norms, which I will touch upon. And the last climax disaster was the wages, which is a disaster. Already many small hospitals are getting closed. From the time I have taken over, 40 small hospitals have been closed and many more is in the pipeline. They feel it is not viable. So we have fought to bring in again a committee, and thanks to members who have helped us out, and the problem is not yet over. In such a scenario, if we see, every norms, if we go do a costing based on the norms and an 8-hour duty period for a doctor, and whatever norms with leave as per the government standards if we take, even a general ward cost will be more around 5,000 rupees per day. We are hardly getting 500 to 1,000 rupees today. How is it possible? Because we are overworking, our staff are overworking, we are recycling, a lot of things we do to reduce the cost. But one end we say, we expect accreditation. So we should also understand, when you expect Western standards, you have to invest on Western standards. Like the government should also give the kind of GDP division to healthcare, should also be like a Western standard to expect a Western standard. You cannot say one end you expect to go in a flight and give a bus ticket rate. It is not possible, it is not viable. So in that note, that is when I had a conflict with Dr. Prakash telling that, see, you want a government scheme rate, which is a lower rate. It is acceptable to the government hospital because, I would say, I am not anti-government. Our Tamil Nadu healthcare is far better and rates are better than a national Ayushman Bharat scheme. But I would like to bring it to the notice of the central government, especially in PMJAY scheme, which tries to cover at least 70% of the people, so that I can explain where the viability point breaks out. Government hospitals can afford this because there is no investment on land, on infrastructure or the staff. Everything is paid in tax money. They don't need to pay any license fees. So what government can do it free of cost can be done at a much lower cost. But how can a private hospital survive? It can survive if government also gives free land for my hospital, free building, and all my staff are paid by the government, and all the equipments are also given free, and I need not give any money plus minus to somebody else to get in licenses, which is easier. I can do it at a much cheaper cost. I won't be bargaining with Dr. Prakash to say this rate is not enough, this hospital is not viable. I hope you understand my point, but this is not viable for a small hospital or even today for a bigger hospital, because earlier the scheme coverage was in a lower cost scheme was around 10 to 15%. In a 10 to 15% coverage, you have a lot of paid patients, and when that cost is more, you can subsidize for this smaller population, where you say you should give it only to below poverty line people, which says if you have a two-wheeler, they are not eligible. You please check the PMJAY guidelines. But here, you see people coming not in a Mercedes Benz, but at least in a Maruti car, and still say I am the poorest of the poor and misuse the scheme. But how will it be viable when 80% of your hospital gets filled up with unviable rates? At some point of time, your breaking cost goes away. That is, it becomes unviable. What becomes when it becomes unviable? You have to cut people. You will be reducing infrastructure cost. So you will be using Dr. Akash or anybody's services to bring in everything cheaper, to still try to fit in and run a low-cost model. I am not telling you that the low-cost model should not be by purchases or decreasing the payment of staff or anything else. We need policies in the government which can help hospital reduce the cost. For example, you can give property tax, now it is 100% jump. It can be decreased. It can be decreased on a service basis. EB can be decreased. Whatever consumables, taxes can be decreased. For instance, I would say, one of the main problem today is also biomedical waste management, which most of the hospitals are complaining. But the license fee is calculated on the audited value of the property. If you have a scan machine or a CT scan machine, your audited cost goes up. But CT scan or a scan machine is not polluting the thing, because it's a non-polluting machine. So, as a solution, we have requested the government not to consider non-polluting things, and it should not be based on asset value. Probably here a ground of cost in Chennai or somewhere down south near Thoothukudi is not going to be the same. But the rates are going to be the same in the insurance with marginal things. So when the output cost here in a city is more, that is why Mumbai is little more expensive. Chennai may be little less, a village may be little cheaper. But getting a doctor there is difficult, so you have to invest little more there. So somewhere we break even, we are not telling here, there, nothing. We have to average out, and we have made a scientific costing which I have given to Dr. Prakash. So one of the challenges, first thing I would say, minimum wages was a disaster. In our association, we had made repeated representations and formed a committee and made the government understand that it is not scientific, and thanks to Dr. Ashokan for a lot of work which is done in this. And now a committee is being formed which is under discussion, and once it is through I will inform you. Certain things I will only after completion I can tell you. The second very important thing is biomedical waste. For example, 200 hospitals were closed in Chennai because of a National Green Tribunal order. Dr. Ravi Shankar appeared in person, and then he could at least stay that. Then, now again, there are many people in the name of public interest, and genuinely probably in public interest, they ask for certain things, which is a disaster to the medical industry. Everything say, the court says so, the court says so. Now if we put a litigation, I would say our all healthcare people should join together and again ask a costing study for a government hospital. You take AIIMS, is supposed to be a reference hospital in our country. We should work out the land cost, the rental cost of the building, the salaries, infrastructure cost like a private hospital, what is the expenses, and then see what is the cost per patient. Because it is all coming from tax money, it doesn't mean it is cheaper. If they can do it at 10,000 rupees for a cesarean section, you and me cannot do it. Is it possible to do it 10,000 rupees? You want to sit here in a meeting, we are all sitting comfortably in an air-conditioned room. How many people will come? We expect a quality, every quality has some pricing. So, always we should not stick to standards. Agreed. Essential standards should be there for clinical safety. But all other things, it should be based on the cost viability and the mood of the community. Now today community, you go to a salon, what is the costing, my father was getting 50 rupees, sir, I am getting 150 rupees today, this is happening in the last 40 years. But my haircut was 30 rupees, today if you go for a cutting and coloring, you pay 1,000 rupees. How do you expect a doctor to still sit for 30 rupees? It's not possible.
I don't have that experience.
No, actually, my Chitapa is an advocate, he's much more bolder than sir. He says, அவங்களுக்கு தான் ரொம்ப பார்த்து வெட்டணும் ஏன்னா இருக்கிற கொஞ்சம் கேர்ஃபுல்லா வெட்டுறதுக்கு they also ask for the same. So similarly, it doesn't mean a smaller hospital is only 10 beds, they have no license exemption or nothing. Everything is fair because we are dealing with lives, all quality, whether small or big, certain standards should be formed and maintained. And all of this involves a cost for which we are fighting. And I expect all our healthcare people to turn together with our association, not only our association, all healthcares together, and protest against one of the members, Dr. Prakash, and all other people that below this rates we will not operate, and that rate should be scientific. This is what I said, this is self-inflicted injury, but again, sir is willing to listen. This is one part of the study. The other part is, insurance companies grade hospitals. I always have a feeling that some of the companies are in hand in glove with some of the hospitals because in that hospital everything gets all right, for the other hospital it is not viable. So people like Prakash sir, when first they told, larger hospitals have a system and they are proper. Smaller people do lot of cheatings because lot of mistakes were there. I was telling sir, I am a single doctor hospital, 2-3 doctors. In my family there are more doctors than qualified nurses because we are 5 doctors in my hospital. But the number of staff, I don't have an insurance person to fit in and write it and give it. But it doesn't mean just because we don't have training, manpower to do certain clerical work, we are wrong. Ethically we may be right. It doesn't mean if something can be scientifically engineered, it is ethically right. So that concept, I am happy that Dr. Prakash is took. And I also want to place on record that small hospital costing is also there, and if you involve more small hospital in the insurance scheme, your scheme will also be much more viable. It is a win-win situation for both. And there are certain situations where a larger hospital, for example, I would say you have a full-time anesthetist and a surgeon, even if you do 5 surgeries, it is the same salary. So you can now operate at a lower cost. But whereas a small hospital, I practice dermatology. If I have to do a surgery in my nursing home, I have to call an anesthetist and a surgeon from outside. For me, this rate is not viable. So if we work out on an average and work out a cost where small can also sustain, large can also sustain, that is when quality will grow. At the same time, whatever advances we are thinking, the latest things, everything will work out only then. In this note, I would say, we have a system which is being in the pipeline coming out. I have found a mobile app where only doctors can be members of that. They can see the group costing which we are also working on. A similar concept like that, probably they can also join us. And in that concept, you can see the rates to minimize the cost, and hospitals will be having the provision to grade insurance companies. Gone are the days where companies grade, this is the best hospital for public to go and take it up. Insurance companies will be graded by member hospitals based on their settlement and promptness in settlement. If Dr. Prakash sir's insurance company is good, we will all give 5-star rating for him. If it is bad, please give a bad rating. So people will be able to see it shortly. This is in the pipeline, and Indian Medical Association will planning to bring a concept where all the public can see which hospital is better, which company is better. So hospitals grades which company is better. It is based on the promptness of settlement, so they will have a hassle-free settlement. In that note, if sir is doing a better rate for us, obviously all hospitals are going to show that his promptness is better. And similarly, there are AMC issues, annual maintenance cost, cost of purchase. Those things we do not take care, because while buying we buy it, and then every AMC will be in lakhs. So we are bringing grading of those companies also. So in bigger hospitals, there will be a quality manager. You give some amount to him, they may buy something you do not know, you do not have a perfect cost control over this. Where now only hospital owners will be in this app. They can see if you can buy cheaper, it is well and good. But this will definitely bring down the cost and to the knowledge of the owner of the hospital whether his people are right. The third thing is staff. For example, the hospital here is in Guindy and the staff has to come from Sriperumbudur every day. Just imagine the traveling. He may get 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees more here, but the quality of life what he loses, the travel, the transport, everything is going to be more. So in this mobile app, we are going to pin geographic location of hospitals, and staffs can also have their location so that they can take some hospital nearby. Even if it is 5,000 or a few thousand rupees less, their quality of life will be more. This again in the pipeline which is coming out. So in this note, like this, the products, the next thing is medico-legal products. Indian Medical Association has gone for a big time strike and got this Act 48. What is Act 48? It says anybody throws a stone or abuses a healthcare professional, it becomes a non-bailable offence. That is there, please use it. Never settle for anybody, even if there is a complication. We have beautiful schemes like PPLSS where our legal team will come. If we have done a negligence, we can pay a settlement through the court. Please don't do out-of-court settlements, because there are big groups and gundas developing in this country where they think you make little noise, they will either waive off the bill or give some money. This is going to aggravate, and also your fellow colleague is going to be in problem. Please have faith in the association and please be united so that when nobody has any settlement, let it be media, press or anybody who is asking, if there is a problem, we will pay settlement in the court of law. There is a court to see. Please don't do anything out of hands, that is out of court. The other thing is that I am also planning to say some people advertise unethical advertisements. You see TV after 10 o'clock, everywhere it says, you come to me, 100% it is curable. 100% curable, nobody can assure, only God can assure. So we are coming with the public interest litigation where if anybody says 100%, they have to bear the treatment cost if the cost recurs. There should be a system where whatever in this country you cannot talk whatever you want. So that is next in the pipeline. A lot of problems are there. I would like to touch upon only few things, and to summarize, I request Prakash sir to, through CII and through his insurance forum, to please see the costing what we have done, and also please take an independent costing. And also we'll request the government, central government and the state government to see what is the viable cost for the government setup with infrastructure, if like a private by way of rental or anything, and then fix up a rate and cost wherein small hospitals like me, larger hospitals like you, all of us can mutually coexist and make a viable solution in improving healthcare of our country. Thank you. That is the final thing, sir. And anything more, I'll be happy to answer.